Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to episode 78 of Direwolf20's Let's Play series. Last episode I set up a turbine. I'm going to activate my reactor, which is going to start producing steam for me, and then I can come over here and activate my coils and my turbine, and suddenly we've got a bunch of steam powering our turbine, and we've got a bunch of water being turned into steam, and long story short, we're producing a lot of millibuckets per tick. Now, did this get... Okay, cool. So I had to fix something between episodes. Just updated to version 1.9 of the Direwolf20 pack, and it looks like in this version, Ender.io is detecting the fact that Resonant Ender from Thermal Expansion exists, so it doesn't register its own version of Liquid Ender, which is kind of bad because it emptied out my reactor. So I had no Liquid Ender in there. So I just cheated myself in, a bunch of Liquid Ender and just refilled it because, that's fine. That's reasonable. So grabbed myself just a stack of the liquid form of Resonant Ender and just filled the reactor back up. But now it's back up and running and we're cool and everything looks pretty good. So we're getting 28,000 roughly, 28,500 RF per tick. Now I'm going to disengage my coils and turn off the turbine so that it kind of stops spinning and maintains its rotational energy there. And I'm also going to turn off our reactor, which is cool, because today I'd like to automate this. So there's one big downside. Oh, and because we updated, I have to adjust some things. Let's see, HUD, I like my scales to be around 60%, and I like the fade off to be full so that I don't have those little UI things on the bottom right until I actually take damage, and then I'll have them. So one of the things that's really kind of a nuisance about turbines, which I didn't realize when I realized it before I started building it, but only just before, is there's no redstone port. And I think there was a redstone port. I almost always controlled turbines in the past with ComputerCraft, so I always used the turbine computer port. I don't remember if there was a redstone port or not. I mean, there's a redstone flux power tap, but that's just to get power out, and we already used one of those. There's a Tesla power tap, but I don't see anything for a redstone port, kind of like this, that allows you to control certain aspects of the reactor with a redstone signal. I could have sworn there was one of those, but I guess there's not. And the reactor redstone port does not work in a turbine. I tested that as well. So I would expect there to be a turbine redstone port, but there isn't. So that means the only way to automatically control turbines is with computers. Now, ComputerCraft is kind of available for 110, but honestly, Dan said it was like kind of a port, and it's not super stable, which is why it's in the pack. It's not in the pack. But I do have another computer-like mod called Open Computers. Open Computers is a lot different from ComputerCraft. At its core, it is still a computer that exists in world that you can program with Lua to do things. But aside from that, there are a large number of differences. ComputerCraft had you just place a computer and everything works. In Open Computers, there's a lot more variables, a lot more upgrades, a lot more functionality, and there's a bunch of really neat stuff you can do. Like there's holograms, there's drones, there's robots, there's all kinds of crazy stuff. I will be totally honest, I have not paid enough attention to Open Computers, and I don't know it as well as I probably should. Partially probably because I know that a lot of my audience doesn't enjoy watching me write programs, and partially because I just haven't had the time to spend learning Open Computers. I kind of wish I could have that time because there's some really cool stuff you can do with it. So if you are of a programmingly minded person, I highly recommend checking out Open Computers because it is really a cool mod. Now, with that said, another thing that's cool on Open Computers is there's a really straightforward way to download programs that other people have written, which is cool. And it just so happens in researching extreme reactors and big reactors and all that good stuff, I've stumbled across a forum post where somebody is writing a control program for, originally it says for big reactors, for big reactors, but it totally works with extreme reactors. And it's as simple as putting the computer in world, typing a couple commands, and all of a sudden you have an automated control program, which is really neat. So with that in mind, I'm going to show you guys how to take advantage of that. So there's no programming involved. We won't see any code in today's episode. You will see me building a computer, installing the program that somebody else has written, And I'll link to his forum thread, or you'll at least be able to check him out. It looks like a pretty nice program. It is a work in progress. There's a couple things in it that aren't perfect, but I reached out to him over Twitter, and he said, oh yeah, no, like he's totally working on getting the things, like it's still a work in progress, right? And he's updating it and adding features, and there's all kinds of other neat stuff coming to it. So without further ado, let's get started taking a look at open computers. So there's a few things that we're going to need to get for open computers to work. Now, I tested a lot of this in my single player world, and I decided how I want to map this out. So I'm not going to be able to explain super well how open computers works, but if you want to read more, there's a really nice open computers manual, which I might even have still. Yeah, I do. Nice. Right here. And the manual is pretty good. Like, there's a bunch of in-game instructions on how things work and how to get started and how to set things up and how pretty much everything functions. And all of these green words are clickable, and you can click on them to read more, which is pretty neat, right? Robots, drones, nice. There's all kinds of cool stuff. There's holograms. I mean, look at all the components that exist. Hologram projector. Yeah, it's pretty neat too. Disk drives and adapters and geolyzers and motion sensors. And I mean, I really wish I had time to get into a lot of this stuff. And I may at some point, like later on in the episodes. But today, we're just going to get the basics down. So let's get a basic computer that's going to control our turbine. So the first thing I'm going to need is a computer case. I decided that I want a tier 3 computer case to go with this. And for this, we're going to need a printed circuit board, which is going to need a raw circuit board, which should not be too bad to make. So I'm probably going to just... So can I get cactus green? Let's get like 10 of these just so we have some in stock. And then we'll get... I don't think I'm going to like teach how to make all this stuff, but I am totally going to smelt this stuff up. Cool. And then I need a microchip tier 3, which needs diamond chips. Oh, hello. Maybe they're or dictionary? We'll find out pretty soon. If not, I'm going to have to cheat those in and report a bug. Transistors. Cool. Microchip tier 3. Okay, that's going to be a problem. Diamond chip from Open Computers. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to fix that. That looks like a problem with a recipe conflict. Probably new, because these guys are from Thermal Foundation. So kind of a newish bug. So let's do this. Let's turn on cheat mode here. So what I'm going to do is grab a stack of diamond chips for half a stack of diamonds, which, to be fair, is far and away a much different thing. I totally didn't even have to do that much, but that's okay. I got enough diamonds, I'm not going to sweat it. So that should allow me to make a couple of these guys now, which is cool. So I can get my first computer case. Nice. So computer case, up and running. Now, in order for a computer to run, this is just the case. You need stuff to go inside your computer. So in Computer Craft, it was you've got a computer, you're done. Right? In this one, you need to install some cards. And there's a handful of cards. Not all these are required. And again, this is the tier 3 case, so this is like a higher tier case. You can get cheaper and less expensive computers easily. One of the things we're going to need is an EEPROM. Yeah, I think that's right. So let's get one of these if we can. So we're going to need... That's cool. And a microchip. Sweet. Microchip requiring iron nuggets, which hopefully these are or dictionaried. They are. Hooray. And then I can get my EEPROM. This goes in the top left slot right there. Nice. That's one of the first things you're going to need for a computer to work. We're also going to need some other processor stuff. We're going to need a graphics card in order to display graphics. Makes sense. I decided I want a tier 3 graphics card. Different graphics cards can support different resolutions and colors and different operations per tick, and some of them can have like all kinds of other cool stuff. So I want the tier 3 one because that sounds neat. So what do I have so far? I'm going to need a few more. Let's see. Memory tier 3. I'm probably going to need at least a couple of these. Cool. So we're going to need more microchips. For sure. I'm going to get 2 memories. And we're going to need one of these things. So let's get more transistors. And more iron nuggets. I'm just going to get a stack of these because that won't hurt. And then a card base. We'll get a few of those because I think I have a few cards coming my way. So I've just given it memory, aka RAM, and a graphics card. Sweet. The other thing we're going to need is a screen. Screens allow you to see stuff. Nice. I'm probably going to want more screens than this eventually, but we're getting the basics of it, right? In order to interact with the screen, we're going to need a keyboard. Dun, dun, dun. Neat. So we're going to need a button group. Cool. We're going to need a bunch of buttons. Let's just get a stack. So I think I need 3 of those. One of these. One of these, and maybe one more of these, because I miscounted. I need 4 of them. And now we've got a keyboard, and the keyboard can kind of go anywhere. And we should be close. Now, the other thing we need with this is power. So let's get, for now, the wireless RF transmitter. And we'll just kind of pop this up on the wall there, and that's totally fine. As long as you've got power, no CPU is installed. Ah, we need a CPU. Haha, we totally need one of those. Let's go with the tier 3 CPU, because why not? So the only thing I need is one of these. I just need a clock for that. Not so bad. And another one of these bad guys, the arithmetic doohickey. Nice. So we've got a CPU installed now. Awesome. So we can put that in there. Now can you power on? Cool. So it's got an error, and we can find out what that error is. I know what it is, but I want to show you guys how this mod works. If you make an analyzer, close to having the right things. Wow, really? I'm out of gold nuggets already? Just get a stack of them. Transistor again, and you're good to go. The analyzer will tell you what the last problem was. No BIOS found. Install a configured EEPROM. Thought I did that. Maybe I need the Lua one. I'm not good at this mod yet. I mean, we're getting there, but it's got energy. Cool. Number of connected components. No BIOS found. Cool. That should do. All right. No bootable medium found. Cool. So the computer's working, but we need bootable media. We need something to boot into. So for that, we're going to need a disk drive. Neat. I think I just need a stick. And we're going to need a disk that has, I think this is all I need. So we need a disk platter, and we should be cool. As long as there's, this floppy disk should have everything we need on it. So we install the floppy disk, boom, and then turn off the computer, or turn it back on again. I thought that was all I need. No bootable medium found, huh? Thought I gave you a floppy disk. You're killing me. This is the right floppy disk, right? Open Computers, yes. And this is the right disk drive from Open Computers. I thought that was all I need. So I might need a disk drive in the computer. So let's get one of those. We'll go to tier 3 disk drive, because why not? I'm at the point where I can do tier 3 things without a problem, really. So this is a hard drive, basically. So I need one of these dudes. So I need another one of these. I can't believe I burned through all 8 of those already. Maybe you actually need a hard drive in the computer before you can boot. We'll find out. All right, let me figure out what I'm doing wrong. This should totally just work here, disk drive. Alright, back in a second when I figure out what I did wrong. You know, I wonder if I need to put the floppy disk in the computer itself instead of in an attached disk drive. I think tier 1 and 2 computers don't have it built in. Nope, still not right. Alright, so I think I figured it out. This floppy disk plus this. OpenOS operating system. Nice. That's why. Cool. Alright, so we'll put this in here. And now you can start. We're going to find out. I'm hearing things. Things are happening. It's booting up. Hooray, my computer works. I'm good at this game. Neat. Alright, so we've got a computer. It boots off the floppy disk. It requires memory and a CPU. And it's got a hard drive in it, but it wouldn't be able to boot without the floppy disk yet. So what I'm going to do is install the operating system onto... I think I just type install. Yes. And it's literally going to copy all that stuff off the floppy disk onto the hard drive. Pretty cool, right? And then it's going to reboot when it's done. Neat. That is pretty cool. And we literally now have a hard drive with all this data on it. And it's going to be able to boot off the hard drive, and it's going to be awesome. Installation complete. Reboot now? Yes. But I'm going to take the floppy disk out first and say yes. And we should see now that it boots without the need of a floppy disk. And it probably boots a little bit faster, too. Awesome. How cool is that? I like that. I really like this mod. Call me a computer geek, because that's exactly what I am, but I think that's pretty cool. Alright, so we've got pretty much everything we need. So what I'm going to do is power off my computer. I'm going to bring it downstairs into the basement where it's going to live. So I actually want my computer to live down here in the basement. I want it to be kind of hidden with the screen on top of it. And I'm thinking eventually I might have like a 2x3 screen or a 3x4 screen. We're going to figure it out once I've got my program installed, but for now it'll just be the 1x1 screen. And I definitely still want the keyboard access. The keyboard can kind of go anywhere, which is funny, but I can totally throw the keyboard in the back. And as long as it exists, I can still interact with the computer. And then all I have to do is install the components again and make sure that it's receiving power. So let's like hide this guy down here. I want to make sure that he's only serving one tile. Wow, you have a long range, mister. No nearby tiles. Killing me. There we go, serving one tile, which is the computer case. Beautiful. So you should be able to power on now, and he'll boot up. Nice. All right, let's get the things we're gonna need. I'm gonna power you off for a minute, but let's get the cables that we're going to need and the blocks that we're going to need to allow this computer to talk to the reactors. So if we take a look at Extreme Reactors, we'll see that there's a reactor computer port, boom, which just needs a redstone comparator of some kind. So reactor computer port. I'm guessing I need a redstone comparator for the turbine as well, but we'll find out. And a turbine computer port. My guess was correct. One more turbine housing, please. Should not be a hard request. Nice. Beautiful. Okay, so what we're going to do is pop down here, and we're going to install the computer port in a place that makes sense. Maybe like right here-ish. Nice. And now I should be able to connect that to a cable. The turbine port, I'm going to kind of throw maybe right here-ish. Does that sound cool? All right. Now we need cables. So these network cables will be responsible for transmitting the data. So they're open computers cables. I think they're called cables. There they are. Cable. Neat. Just going to get a few more because I want to make sure I have enough. So 32 should totally work. Right? So I should now be able to just do this. And we can cover this up pretty well. Nice. And then we can run our cable here. Oh, you're connected to the keyboard there. I was like, what block are you connected to? I'd kind of like this to go down one more level, I think. Try and keep the cabling as well hidden as possible, right? And then that should work. Now he should, in theory, be able to talk to, and nice, that looks really good actually, both computers, or both components, right? We should be able to talk to the reactor and the turbine housing. Next thing we're going to do is install the program that this dude wrote. Cool. So I'm going to go show you how to download it. All right, so I'm going to put this in the description of this video, probably, but in case I forget, you guys will yell at me, and then I'll go add it after the fact. But you'll see what I'm doing here, right? So first thing, boot up your computer, right? And lots of people have put lots of really cool programs out on the internet for open computers to run. So if you feel like being adventurous and checking them out, highly recommend it. All you have to do is run this wget command, and it'll download whatever Lua program you have, and then that Lua program can be an installer. So for example, I'm running this command, and this is where the Big Reactors controller program, it's called Big Reactors because it was, I think, written for the previous version, but it works totally fine on Extreme Reactors as far as I can tell. So we're going to run this. We need an internet card. In order for your computer to talk to the internet, it needs an internet card. So we're going to need to go make one. So let's get an internet card. Dun 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 dun. So we need a microchip tier 2, and we need an interweb. Makes sense to me. And we've got an internet card. Sweet. So we can go install this card in the computer case, which goes in one of these 3 card slots. And now we can boot this guy up. I'm assuming you can't put the internet card in when the computer's on, but I've actually probably not actually tested that, so meh. And it's downloading. Success! Hooray! Now if we look in our file system, we'll see this BRGC installer, which we can run. And it's literally going to download, I think, a bunch of stuff and then install it on the computer. How cool is that? Isn't that neat? Done. We now have this program installed. Cool. I believe there's some stuff in a couple different places. So there's that rc.lua there. There's a few places where it lives. But long story short, how to use this program is pretty straightforward. What I think I'd like to do is extend this screen a little bit. Let me get 5 more screens before we actually run this program, and we're going to see how well it looks on a 2x3 sized screen. Does that sound cool? So we're going to need more of you. And if I need to make this screen larger, I shall. Okay, so I'm going to turn it off and on again when in doubt. Not terrible. Definitely looks nice. Cool. All right, so we're going to want to detect the reactor and detect the turbine. And when we do these 2 commands, it's going to start running in the background. So we won't actually see anything. But then there's another command we can run that will allow us to see what's happening, basically. So the first command is this one, rc brgc reactor start, rc brgc turbine start. Cool. Now if we do brgc GUI, we'll see what's happening. Nice. So it's up and running. So it detected a reactor and it detected a turbine, which is cool. So our turbine really has hardly any rotational speed because I had to break it. So we lost a lot of the rotational speed that was in there, but that's fine. And it's also calibrating our reactor. And by calibrating, what it's doing is it's activated the reactor for us, which is super nice. And it's trying to get our millibuckets per tick up to 2000. Remember I told you that you basically adjust these rods? This computer program will automatically adjust the rods for you. You can see it happening right now. What's up, dude? How's it going? Sneaky. So So you can see it adjusting the rods, and it's trying to find that 2,000 millibuckets per tick amount of steam production. And that's when it's going to finish. So like it's right now at 90%. Remember last episode I found it to be around 87-ish? So it's working its way towards that. It just got well above the right amount, so it's going to scale it back a little bit, I think. But we'll see. So it's probably working on calibrating. Nice. So it probably bumped it up too high, and it's going to bring it down some now. And now that it's calibrating, and this guy's in kickoff mode. And what kickoff mode means is he's not activated the coils, so he's not trying to produce energy yet. All he's doing is trying to get the speed up to 1800 RPM. And once the speed hits 1800 RPM, he's going to engage the coils and let the power fluctuate and run. So you're still calibrating. So we'll bring this guy back in a moment or two. Like I said, this program is still a work in progress. So there's probably some things that are going to be tweaked a little bit. But there's all kinds of neat interactions you can do with this. I think if you right-click here, you can left-click. So this is combined mode. You can see both the reactors and turbines. But if you want to see just your reactors or just your turbines and what they're doing, or you can actually click on the individual lines. So the reactor here calibrating, you can see a bunch of details about everything. How cool is that? And you can actually manually turn it on and off, which is cool. You can do the same for the turbine. Pretty neat, right? So lots of nifty stuff. Play around with this program. It's fun. And it supports multiples. So if I had another turbine here, it would show another turbine listed. How cool is that? So we'll be back in a minute once things have, got up and running. All right, guys. So the turbine's getting there. I think soon it's going to... There it goes. It just engaged coils. Nice. So calibrating process is running. It's telling me about how much RF per tick it's producing. That's pretty cool. And I think it's doing a really good job. We're still calibrating the reactor. It was a little bit aggressive with its adjustments, and I think it got stuck. So I kind of restarted the calibration process. Like I said, the program's still a work in progress that the guy wrote, but it's pretty slick, gotta say. So hopefully it gets there. Pretty soon it should have a better idea of where its numbers need to be. So it went before, and it got to about 90%. I'm hoping it... See, it bumped up to 80% from 90, and that's too far, and I think it's throwing the program off. So I'm going to let it sit for a little bit and see what it does, because it really needs to be right around 87-ish is what I found. So we'll figure it out. I'll be back in a minute. So you know what? The reactor calibrator thingy seems to have managed to figure out where it needs to be. We're going to see, though. It's bringing down the heat, and at some point soon the steam's going to start to drop. And I'm going to see what it does when that happens. So are you... Yeah, you are. Nice. I think it's... Oh, wow. Look, it perfectly figured out 87%. Nice, dude. It actually really did figure out where it needs to be. How cool is that? So the program is actually pretty smart. I think it's way smarter than the one I wrote for Computercraft. It was still saying calibrating, and I'm like, this thing isn't going to figure it out. Dude, it perfectly figured out where it needs to be. That is awesome. I'm really pretty impressed by that. That is sweet. So, and I think it's actually fluctuating the rods in there. So you can see, like, it might toggle between 87, 88. Oh, I don't know. Oh, yeah, there we go. We just saw it go. 86, 87. You see that? So it's, like, adjusting the rods in real time to make sure that we have, like, a steady amount of steam being produced, but not too much and not too little. So it's, like, being really efficient, which is pretty cool. Look at that. Like, the steam level staying perfect. That's so neat. This is a really impressive program. Turbines, it still says calibrating for. Not 100% sure why that still says calibrating, but I'm trusting in the program. It's pretty smart, so I'll let it do its thing. That's awesome. And I think it'll, like, slow things down and adjust things automatically as needed. So once this starts to fill up, I think it's going to be smart enough to be like, all right, we're cool. We're going to turn things off and do certain things. So that is an automated computer-controlled turbine and reactor. What do you guys think? I didn't write the program, as I mentioned several times throughout the episode, but I am really impressed by the guy who did. So, like I said, if I remember, which hopefully I will have the link to the guy's forum post over at the Open Computers forum, where he explains how the program works. But literally, you saw me install it, right? Like, once I had the computer enrolled, it took me less than a minute to type the command to download and install the program, and then just run it. I think the only other thing we need to do is tell it to run on startup. So I think in this etc folder, we need to edit rc.cfg, and we want to say enabled brgc reactor, BRGC turbine, like that, and save it and close it. I think that's accurate. Now if the computer restarts, and we can do our BRGC underscore GUI. Neat. Turbines are still in the calibrating state. I don't know why that is, but whatever. I'm not worried about it. It's still doing its thing. I'm going to turn it off and turn on. And I think it will automatically start the reactor control system. And if I do BRGC underscore GUI, yes. So the fact that this showed up means that on boot up, it will be controlling the reactors and turbines. It may not necessarily have the UI shown, this little thing, but I can just type BRGC GUI and that'll start it. I'm sure there's some way to do it, but I don't know if Computer's enough. But I'm sure it's pretty straightforward to add BRGC GUI to the startup program. But that's pretty much all set. So I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Next episode we'll come back. I want to get back to Draconic Evolution. So we upgraded and did a little bit of automation in this room before we realized we were running out of power. So now that we've made our power production millions of times more efficient, all right, that's probably an exaggeration, but extremely more efficient than it was in the past, I'm a little bit excited. And we can now proceed with Draconic Evolution stuff. I'd like to get some really powerful armor and weapons, and then go kill a few more dragons and get their hearts. And get some other nifty gadgets. All right, for now, Darwell20 signing off. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Take it easy.